give Oklahoma City a lot of credit. One of the things that they, when you watch them play, their level of consistency in terms of how they play for 48 minutes is pretty high. And I'm talking both ends of the floor. But offensively, they did the same thing. They didn't do anything tricky. They did the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. They either brought the big into a pick and roll, or they brought a small into a pick and roll trying to get a mismatch. And once they had the pick and roll advantage, they put their head down, they drove the ball, and they touched the paint. And if you commit a second guy to help on a dribble drive, every single one of those guys, not most of the time, but sometimes every single time they got off the ball, they sprayed the ball, and they knocked down shots. And to have that level of consistency, doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over, and not get bored with it, again, it is pretty high level. So you give them a lot of credit. We tried blitzing Shea, we tried switching versus Shea, we tried a normal coverage versus Shea, and if we blitzed him, he just got off it. If he touched the paint, we brought help over, he just got off of it. And all their guys either caught it and shot it, or caught it and drove it, trying to bring help again, and then they got off of it. They sprayed it. So I give them a lot of credit. They had 4 straight 30-point quarters against us at a pretty high level. And at the end of the day, when you play those guys, we just have to sit down. We got to guard. We got to do a better job of containing the dribble drive, because that's what starts their whole thing is the drive. And whether it's, again, the pick and roll by a big or a pick and roll by a small, that's what they're going to do to you every single play. For us offensively, I thought, we were doing the same thing in the first half. We had 17 assists. We were touching the paint. We were spraying the basketball. Our spacing was great. And then as the game went on, especially as they got a little bit of a lead, we started touching that paint, taking some tough shots. And, again, we have to make sure that we are okay with doing the same thing over and over and over again. If you touch that paint, you draw a second guy offensively, you got to spray it, and then you got to knock down the shot. I think in the second half, or maybe in the it might have been the second half, it might have been 1 for 13, I think, from the floor, from the 3-point line. So again, we got to get to a point where we're spraying it, but not only are we spraying it, but we're knocking down the shot. And that's part of the reason, too, why some guys may try to finish, because you go through droughts of missing threes, and then you're like, hey, let me see if I can do this on my own. So we have to keep playing the right way. We're doing it in spurts, but we have to try to do it as close to 48 minutes as possible. Because again, like I said, 17 first half assists compared to 7. That coupled, especially with the defense, is the ball game.
Hey Mike, you went with Keon over Kevin tonight in the starting lineup. What made you make that adjustment, and how do you assess Keon's performance tonight?
I thought Keon was solid. I just thought it was time for a change. And, it's my job to continue not just searching with lineups and rotation, but also with what we're doing defensively and what we're doing offensively. So that's all that was.
Mike, 3-point defense once again was an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way? Are you guys addressing it differently with you guys? Because I feel like it's just a consistent issue that continues to pop up game in and game out.
Yeah, I'd say against Brooklyn, it was just our overall sense of urgency, because our game plan, the way we didn't play in the second half last night was the same. There was a sense of urgency of us getting to shooters last night, and in that first quarter alone, their 2 hot guys hit 3 threes because we closed out short with our hands down. And when you have guys like Cam Thomas and Cam Johnson, but especially Cam Thomas, who's a streak scorer, when they see the first couple go in that easy, it's hard to slow down. And tonight, we have to control the dribble drive, because if you don't, control the dribble drive, and Shea gets in there against almost anybody, he's gonna score, he's gonna get fouled, so you've gotta send help over. And when you send help over, way Hartenstein is playing that pocket area, you gotta send somebody else to protect there. And they don't get bored touching the paint, drawing a second defender, and spraying it. And then all of their guys, the reality of it is all their guys stepped in and made shots. Because I thought, I thought we had some open looks tonight that, when they had open looks, they knocked down, and when we did, we didn't.
Mike, the frustration level of your team on the court seems to be rising, especially with the officiating. How do you get them? This is 2 games in a row where they've seemed to have lost their cool and lost their focus due to some officiating issues that they had. How do you get them to get through that and just play through?
Keep talking to them about it, showing them the film, showing them that we have to be able to control our own destiny. You can't put calls in the officials' hands, and we're good enough no matter what the calls are to go win games. And we just have to get to a point where we all believe it, truly believe it, and go do it.
Mike, I remember last year, you talked about wanting to see how your team responds to adversity. I wonder, is this a similar kind of circumstance with this 4-game losing streak?
Yeah, 100%. We're going through some now, and we're going to see how mentally and physically tough we are as a group, as well as sticking together to try to get through it. And so it's what's in front of us, and we got to handle it right.
It's the first game where OKC had more turnovers than their opponents, but they still outscored you in points off turnovers. How encouraging is it, the lack of turnovers that you guys had, but then what do you make of them executing more off of those?
Well, we've turned the ball over at a pretty high level, and the last handful of games, but more importantly, our opponents have really taken advantage of it. And one of the things that we have to continue to do is play with next play speed. If something happens, right now flip the switch and get back. There have been a couple of times where we were slow reacting to the turnover, which gave our opponent an advantage. So we have to be better in that area. But at the end of the day, for us to have 12 turnovers, it's in the ballpark of where we need to be for 48 minutes. But we can be much, much better taking care of the ball and much, much better with our next play speed.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.